My name is Alissar Nasr. I go by Miss Alissar. And today you're listening to us on Real Voices with Miss Alissar. My guest today is the young and vibrant Ines Sebiane. Ines is Mawakib alumnus, class of 2008. But she's also a mother, a wife, a friend, and above all, a person who is always curious. And she gave me a call when she saw that I'm making a podcast about bullying, and I asked a question. And the question is, have we gone too far? Marhaba, Ines.
Marhaba, Ms. Alissar. First, I have to say that the 17 years old me would be so proud. I'm sitting here with Ms. Alissar on a real conversation, so...
Honored.
Thank you for having me.
So, have we gone too far? Why did you call me when you heard that?
Actually, the topic of this podcast was interesting when I heard the title itself, Have We Gone Too Far? And as a mom, and as someone who is a public account on social media, I receive a lot of comments, negative comments. I wouldn't say bullying, but then it was interesting to know more and hear your thoughts on what is bullying, especially you coming from an educational background, being there around kids in school. So what is bullying and how do we...
If we're going to go to the definition, I guess it would be, what's a bully? A bully is someone who seeks to intimidate or harm or inflict pain on someone that they perceive as vulnerable. That's the standard definition.
So a bully is always searching for the weak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's standard. Have we gone too far? I put that on purpose because I find that we are now in a gray zone that is diminishing the value of the word bully. We are in a place where almost any infraction, and now I'm talking about children, before we go to the adult world, which is also prone to bullying, every infraction has taken on the description of bullying. And I find that unfair because by doing this, we are diminishing the importance of laying attention to where actual bullying is happening. لأنه in a school environment or in a children's environment, wherever they are, and here I'm talking below 8 years old, for example, infractions happen. Kids annoy each other. Kids get on each other's nerves. But not every time that happens, we should put the label bully and bullying. أولاً, and first of all, it's too early or unfair to put a sticker on a kid at that age and call them a bully. That's just wrong. I know I'll get a lot of pushback from people because, okay, what do you call them? I say, you call them children. Children do this.
I remember having some incidents with friends who, if I want to call them bullies now, but it was just friends. At that point, I didn't feel that it was a negative relationship. We were friends having fun.
It's funny you say that because, by overusing the word bullying, we have now allowed children to use it for no matter what.
Exactly. That we didn't have that word back then, so it was just us having fun.
Yeah.
Versus now when you realize that kids at 3 years old know the word bullying, and I'm like, Mom, for example, with my kid, like, I don't want her to have that bully word. Whatever happens with her in any incident, she would just, throw it, put it under.
You're doing the right thing because
but then
it's
how
too
do
early.
That's the point. So how do we
have to educate
define
the adults.
Or maybe identify bullying versus...
First, start by educating the adults. One of the problems here is the adults are overusing the word. Because kids will not repeat this word if they don't see it or hear it so often in the adult world.
That's true.
Okay, so what are we as adults exemplifying to these kids? And I'm saying every time I hear about an incident in the school and I hear the word bully, I say, okay, stop. It may or it may not be. I don't take it at face value. And everyone should, wait, stop. Tell me what happened. After we talk about what happened and investigate, we then decide and identify whether it was bullying or not. Once you identify, you deal with it. But you cannot go into every incident that happens between children with this pre-notion that it's bullying.
A bully.
Because that makes it very unfair for the actual cases where there is bullying. Okay, so this distinction is very important.
How would you identify bullying versus not bullying?
The standard definition is very important. The person who inflicted this action, were they in a position where they actually abused their strength over a weaker person to hurt them, whether it's emotional or physical? And as adults in the world of children, we are able to assess that. But are we in a hurry? Is it easier to just say bullying and deal with it? Versus take your time. Investigate. Show the kids you're willing to look into it and teach them how to differentiate. Your friend pushed you in the playground, you're playing soccer, he pushed you.
That's not bullying.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Your friend, scratched on your paper. It happens. But your friend collected a few other friends and followed you in the playground to keep,
Pushing buttons.
hurting you with intentional hurt, then let's talk bullying. And by the way, we're making a big mistake in schools if we think dealing with bullying means dealing with the bully only.
Exactly. That was what I wanted to come to.
You have to deal with both. Because you have to work with the bully to undo whatever damage was done, usually by an adult, I'm telling you, in their life, to make them feel that this is okay. Because most of the time you'll see that if a bully in children's age, in school age, most of the time, doesn't really recognize what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have seen it somewhere in the adult world and they have seen it so often, they think it's normal. It's okay. For example, they've seen it maybe in how a nanny is treated, or how a waiter is treated, or how a taxi driver is treated, or how the baggage guy in the airport is treated. And they find that they can do the same with others. So that's the bully side. The bullied is where you need to build
emotional intelligence
and self-esteem. Emotional intelligence, inherent. Every kid is emotionally intelligent. I don't subscribe to any kid lacks it. I subscribe to kids needing nurturing to recognize it.
Exactly.
So kids who are bullied also need an education about how to not fight back, but how to stand tall. And sometimes it takes not just you, it's a village. And therefore I will touch on adults. And I'm always just mesmerized by how shocked adults are that we have bullying among children. And I say, yo, look at your world.
Has more of bullying than the kids.
Look at your world. How much are we modeling this as a standard practice? Whether it's celebrities, politicians, older university students, friends, in-laws.
Yeah, that's true.
Siblings who are older. How are you talking about your husband's mother in front of the kids? How are you talking about his work friends? How are you talking about in front? And why do you think kids are not picking up on it? So
kids are so smart. They hear and observe and literally take everything on, and it's there in the back of their brain. And as soon as they get their interaction with friends, that's when it comes out
and
naturally.
This is where I say emotional intelligence, alive and kicking. The problem here is adults think it's not. So they think they can get away with this and kids will not know. let's say in a parent situation where you have 2 or 3 children, there will always be that one child that tells you, you love my brother more than me. And clearly, of course, no parent loves one kid more than the other. This is us thinking kids don't get it. They're not intelligent enough to know who we prefer, who we don't. And we don't mean to do that. This is where I say to the adult, understand these kids are more intelligent than all of you emotionally because they have no other judgmental background in their mind. What they see is what it is. They're not prejudgmental. So therefore, be careful how you speak because it doesn't matter what your intention, it's how they interpret it. Same thing in the classroom. And there I will go to the teacher, the student who thinks the teacher likes this more than that. More times than not, the teacher doesn't mean to do this. So the conversation with the teacher becomes, look, sure you don't mean to, but that's how it's coming across. Rethink how you're doing it. Go in again and recalibrate how you're talking to everyone so that everyone sees, especially the one who thinks is being ignored, they see that you are paying attention to them. So how we model in the adult world should be a clear indication of why our kids are acting the way they are.
Then, Ms. Alissar, I have a question. When you say, have we gone too far with bullying? Do you think we are talking about it too much, or do you think we need to change the conversation about bullying?
That's a great question. Because, I don't think we're talking about it too much. I think we're talking about it wrong.
Exactly. This is where I want. So what's the correct? So as a parent, myself, and whoever is hearing this podcast, I'm pretty sure either they have been through a bullying situation, or they want to understand how to either deal with the situation or educate their surroundings, whether it's their kids, whether it's themselves. Now with social media existence, everyone has a platform in a way or another. So how would we manage the conversation? How would I know either how to deal with the bully or how to change my perspective towards it?
Let's talk about Raya and Maya, your daughters. If Raya does something to hurt Maya,
that's everyday's scenario.
There you go. See, now you take every single scenario separately. You don't lump them into one and 100%. Call Raya a bully. I think in your case, the other way.
Yeah, Maya is the bully, but well, we don't tell her that, yes.
No, because she's not. She's just being a child, right? And what you need to do in every situation is sit the girls down and ask the bully, supposed bully, when you did this, Maya, when you did this, did you mean to make Raya feel bad? What's her answer? If her answer is yes, you need to talk to her some more. But if most of the time, if not all the time, the answer will be no. And if the answer is no, you're going to say, but you did. And she's not feeling bad. Does that make you happy? Her answers will lead you into that conversation. Same thing with when you have students in grade 12. Your girls will grow up. I always want to ask the person who's called bully, did you mean to do that? And I want to teach the bullied to ask them, did you mean to hurt me? If the answer is yes, then say, well, you succeeded. Thank you very much. This time I will not react. But if you bully me again, I will involve an adult. Okay? If you hurt me again, I will involve an adult. Please rethink what you're doing. Conversation. The bully, I want to tell them, did you, when they ask them, and if they say, no, I didn't mean to hurt you, then say, but you did. You did hurt me. So can you please be careful next time so that it doesn't happen again? What that does, if nothing else, it gives the bully, supposed bully, something to think about. And sometimes that gives you enough time, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, to talk about it more, to use more examples, to put case scenarios, put in front of Raya and Maya 2 examples. Look, today I was in the shopping mall and I saw this girl talk like this to her nanny. Do you think this is right? Turn your conversations into questions with your children, not into advice.
Oh, that's
Fight
another conversation
urge.
I had.
That's
with
another
you.
podcast.
Exactly.
So have a set of questions ready so that the kids reach the conclusions you want them to reach on their own. Don't preach to them.
Instead of imposing it as
Let them reach it. As a math teacher, I used to do this. I never taught by teaching. I taught by asking. Especially geometry, I went through every lesson by asking. And the questions had answers and the answers became the lesson. And they taught the lesson. It's the same with kids.
That's the least favorite topic or subject
That's
I have.
because I'm not your teacher.
Oh.
If I were your teacher.
All right, that's quite interesting. Now I understand where the going too far with it comes from. And I suggest, so what do you suggest as someone who has the ability to create change with the young generation? Is it workshops? How would you change the conversation?
Children run workshops, not adult run workshops.
Interesting. Oh, that's a whole different...
And I'm going to do it.
How is it?
In Mawakib, we're doing it already. I'm going to invite, funny enough, on the bullying level, yes, I would like to see more conversations, roundtable conversations happening that put a lot of questions on the table for kids to answer about how they feel, about what makes them feel bullied, entre parenthèses, versus what is normal to them. It's okay, it doesn't feel bullied. Let's hear what they're saying.
That's very
and deal
interesting.
with that. But also as adults, let's try to be better models that way.
That's what I was just about to say. How do we reflect this in adulthood? Because I feel like there's more bullying there than in children.
I agree with you. I agree totally. I know that you're a public figure on Instagram, and I'm sure you get a lot of that. So now you tell me, I'm going to ask you, how do you deal with someone who sends you, and they don't even know you. So these are random people who follow you, and they send you a message that's more or less cyberbullying.
Yeah, I always say that if whoever is sending that negative comment is a reflection of what they're going through. So I feel bad for them. Sometimes there's this empathy where I feel sad that they had to say this publicly. There's always definitely something wrong with what they're going through, or mental status is not stable for them to be able to say this cruel words out loud. And most of the time, if not 99.9%, they're anonymous. They're not there out there with their names.
Yeah.
So that also gives them the safety or
to lash out, safety to lash out, the freedom, the
entitlement,
misrepresented freedom and entitlement to express. I agree with you, and I think your approach is beautiful, because Anna, I would advise you to deal with it exactly like that, with empathy.
Yeah. I don't reply to
don't
them.
lash back.
Yeah, never. If I lash back, they love it. And it feeds their...
Which, this is great, because this feeds this conversation of why does someone feel they want to do this? And the purpose of sending a cruel message to you is really to get a reaction out of you.
Exactly.
So I always say, whatever reaction they want, give them the opposite. So they want you to get angry, give them a smile. They want you to be upset, be cheerful. They want you not to say good morning, say good morning.
Exactly. So when it comes to that, I either ignore it. So there's, I categorized the negative comments. I'm not going to say bullying. I don't really think it's bullying on social media. It's just negativity out there. So I categorize it I keep it and I reply to them with a smile or thank you.
Wow.
I delete it if it's something that is, beyond that respectful line, because inappropriate, or I know that families are following me, so I don't want that kind of words to be there. Or I sometimes, if they say, for example, I don't like what you're wearing, I say, oh, thank you. Thank you, me neither, or something like that, just something to let them realize that what they said wasn't really nice. And most of the time it's, oh, I'm so sorry, I was just joking. You know, when I reply back with a kind comment.
I find that what you're doing is gracious and classy. And you don't need advice. You're doing it right.
I'm doing it the Mawakibi way.
Yay! Good for you. Rise above it, I always say. And sympathize, not just empathize.
Exactly.
Sympathize with these people, because the problem is not with you, it's with them. And once you recognize that the problem is not on your side, it's on the other side, it becomes easier to sympathize. And at the same time, the most important part, and here is where you would have to answer me, is, are you letting it affect you?
That's like a whole different topic. And this is where the bullied, this is where I was focusing on having the emotional intelligence. Either I don't know how to tackle it, and maybe we can hear more on how we can do it, either as parents or as people who get or receive these negative comments. Sometimes it's not about the bully. Sometimes you just need to, work on how can I rise above it? How can I not let it get to me? Sometimes it hurts, and I'm not saying it's easy. Sometimes it does hurt. Like, why would anyone come and tell you suck, or you look bad. I hate your nose, especially things that you can't change. Oh, you're too short. That's like the one I get. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? So do I have to stretch on, like, what am I supposed to do to change my height so that you're pleased? Like, there are things where you can't change. So this is a whole journey of embracing and loving yourself the way you are, where you don't have to fall into the trap to go change the way you look or change yourself just so that you don't receive these comments. And this is a whole thing that adults fall into this trap, not kids. Because a kid says when you receive a comment of you look ugly or whatever, a kid might fight back with words too, and that's it. But then adults, you see them getting surgeries and they change a whole life just to please the follower, especially when it comes to social media influencers, and they change the whole life just because to please their followers, which is a whole different topic to talk about. And that's
a very scary topic,
as far
as I'm concerned. And it puts into perspective how we went from we want to be sympathetic and empathetic and not let it get to us to clearly it's getting to adults. And again, it goes back to then how do you expect it not to get to kids? And this is where, how do you deal with it? One comment at a time, you deal with it by becoming really alligator skin. You have to put on the crocodile skin of understanding that these are comments coming from people who don't know you. They don't know you. Why do we care about their opinion if they don't know you? I mean, it's sometimes easy enough not to even care about someone's opinion when they know you. Now we're worried about those who don't know us. Maybe the social media thing has become at an intimate level of everyone thinks everyone knows everyone because they're in public. Like now, Miss Alissar has an Instagram account, therefore we know her. No.
We're entitled to know her life.
What social media did is allow everyone to have an opinion about everything.
Exactly. So
all right, but now you have to become the filter.
Exactly.
So filter out. This is the group whose opinion matters to me, and I will listen. And I will, if this person tells me, watch out, these colors clash, I don't want you wearing them again, I don't think they match you, it's up to you, even with people to take that opinion and decide what to do with it. It's not an instruction, it's an opinion.
Exactly.
But if people don't know me are giving me this, I don't care. They don't know me. So you have to become strong enough that way. You have
exactly.
to be.
I think to summarize the how to filter these negative comments is to just simply write down these comments that you're receiving, or write down the bully's words and literally filter them. Do I care? So he's saying I'm short. Am I okay that I'm short? They hate my nose, or I'm ugly, or whatever the word is. Filter them out. You're stupid. So, okay, do I think I'm stupid? And then this is where you filter them. And this is where you kind of just the things that really you believe that are right, work on them instead of feeling sad and bad. And
Yes, you just answered everything.
There you go.
You don't need advice. You know what to do.
Yeah.
So
it's always good to hear it.
Yeah. Well, so now it's out loud. So, but what I'm saying is, if I am gonna hear the word "you're ugly" and let it sit with me, then something inside me is probably saying to me, "I am ugly." That's why it's resonating.
Exactly.
So work on yourself. Don't work on the comments. Right? And you are enough and you are beautiful. And I'm so glad you're not taller than this.
Exactly. I love my mini size. I always said I'm a happy meal.
Yay! يحلموا.
So thank you for all of the different perspectives. It's always good to speak to you about so many different topics, just because even if we agree on points, it's always good to hear it in a different perspective.
I'm hoping from this podcast people think and calm down. Calm down about the overusage of the word bullying so that we don't undervalue the word bullying. And understand that your adult actions, whatever they may be, are more dangerous if they're bully intrigued than any children's. And you are modeling not just for your children, but for everyone out there. So the last advice I would give, or last message I would send, is talk to your kids with questions. Talk to your kids with questions.
Don't preach.
Don't preach. It doesn't work. All right? And stay safe and enjoy every little problem that comes to you from bullying, because as Richard Bach says, every problem comes with a gift for you in its hands. We seek problems because we need their gifts. So look at every problem as a gift for you to bounce into a new solution and a new positive attitude. Thank you for being my beautiful guest.
Thank you for having me.
I love talking to you. So, I might have you on like the next 17 podcasts. So you are precious in my life, and I hope we continue to have conversations until I can no longer speak.
Oh, no. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, whether it's on a podcast or not. It's always amazing to talk to you. And I look forward to other topics.
Thank you. That was Real Voices with Miss Alissar. And this was On Bullying. Have we gone too far?